Hi everyone, welcome back to Too Cool for Middle School. We are in a little bit of a hurricane here today. It has been raining all day, so I'm just kind of watching the rain continue out my window. But today I wanted to talk to you about this resource that I'm going to be using probably in the next couple of weeks, specifically with my 8th grade English students. And it's just another way, another format for kids to talk about identity and do some reflection about their own identity and what that means. One thing that I want to emphasize from the beginning is that this isn't meant to be used like on its own. Like, you want to use this along with poems or other lesson plans or short stories or videos or other things like that that also talk about identity, so that this isn't just, in isolation. And I've actually linked a bunch of examples for you, like things that I've used that I really like, and you might have other resources that you really like that help us to enter these conversations about identity in a really empowering and positive way. And so I'll just walk you through really quickly what this resource is. It definitely has back to school vibes. It's all about plaid. You know that our students right now in 2023, they are liking the 90s style of the little, flannel plaid button-down shirts. I love them as well. I'm so glad this is back. I could wear that all the time. So we have that kind of plaid back to school theme, but also I feel like plaid as a metaphor is a good metaphor for us as people. About 5 or 6 years ago, I went to a Facing History summer conference, and it was amazing. And we used identity maps, I think they were called. So we wrote our name in the middle, and then we were able to just kind of brainstorm and just write around our name all of the different aspects of our own identity. And I absolutely love that lesson. I think that's amazing. You can just give kids a blank piece of paper. You could give them an example. You could do an example from a short story, a character in a short story first, and have them, make an identity map for that character before they make one for themselves. I've seen people make kind of a pie chart, like this, I'm this much one aspect of their identity, and then another piece of the pie, whatever. So this is just another format. I really like the metaphor of plaid because everything just fits together, and there's no percentages. You don't have to be half something and half something else. You just are this thing, and you are this thing, and you are this thing, and it all fits together to create a unique pattern. And in my mind, that just works as a good metaphor. The limitations to this are that if kids have more things that they would like to add to their identity, there's a finite number that just exist in the plaid pattern. But after they work on their slide about their plaid pattern, then they can write an essay about, what that means to them, and explain a little bit more about the different aspects of their identity. So they could always explain it there, or maybe even pick 2 different plaids and say I'm gonna put these 2 different patterns together, and I'm all of these things. So you can get pretty creative with it. But what I've provided in this little resource, what I'm gonna use, are instructions for you as the teacher, and then just, a few of those resources that I've found to be helpful. And then there are instructions for your students. So you would just make a copy of these slides for your students and take out the stuff that's meant for teachers and share it to your students so that they can edit their own copy, and they can read through the instructions, and then they've got different options of different plaid patterns, and they just pick the one that they kind of vibe with, whichever one just looks good to them, the one that they just think, kind of represents who they are. And then they'll have to think a little bit about the size of the width of the different colors within it. So some of them have really even stripes throughout the pattern, and others have a very dominant color. So for some students, they might think I'm just a pretty even mix of all these different things. So maybe they're gonna pick that pattern. Or maybe for other people, they're this is a huge part of my identity, so I'm definitely gonna pick this one that has an overarching color. But then there are these other little things that also influence my identity. They might get creative with like some of the plaid has like diagonals in it, and then others are more just like up and down, latitude, longitude. So, you know, they can kind of like read into the pattern as much as they want to. So let's say that there's a pattern that they think is just like a good one that could represent them, and it has 5 colors in it. Then on those colors, they would write what each one represents about them and their identity. Maybe being a soccer player is like a huge part of their identity, and being a girl is another part, and being a 7th grader, or like, you know, being a sister or a granddaughter or something like that. So they're just going to choose the aspects of their identity that these colors in the plaid are going to represent. And then on the next slide, they write their essay. It's probably about a paragraph long, maybe 2 paragraphs. It's just 1 slide's worth of space, and then they can expand upon what they labeled on the slide previous to this one. They can just go ahead and delete all of the slides that they're not going to use, and then when they turn it into you, it'll be easy to find what they've written on. So I'm really looking forward to using this activity in class. I think with our culture and belonging unit that we start the year off for my 8th graders, we use like the collections curriculum, and that's our first unit. I think this will go along really well with the themes of the texts that we already use. I'm gonna add a few more in there, like I'll add in some videos and stuff like that, but we have quite a few stories that lend themselves really well to this topic. The other thing that I really like using along with this is the culture board, so I'll link that down below too. So identity is a little bit different than culture. Your identity is influenced by your culture and vice versa, but you'll see on that activity that students are like choosing different topics and just like reflecting on how their culture impacts that particular topic. And I have another video about how to use that resource. So I'm excited to just kind of like use these 2 things together. And maybe I'll like give extra credit to kids who wear like a plaid flannel that day or something like that. I don't know, you could kind of make this fun. So I will link everything down below. Let me know if you have any questions and I can get back to you as soon as possible. This is all on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I hope that this is just like a fun way for you and your students to have these important conversations in like a fun and positive way. I'm looking forward to trying this out. So I'm gonna go back to just laying on the couch. We're taking full advantage of this hurricane day, and we're watching Gudetama. Me and Jensen love this show. It's on Netflix. We just love the shininess of the egg. He's just so cute. All right, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.